राधा माधवा जय कुंज बिहारी जय गोपी जन वल्लभा जय गिरिवर धारी जय गिरिवर धारी जय यशोदा नंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यशोदानंदना जय ब्रजजन रंजना जय यमुना गिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना गिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी जय यमुना तिरवनचारी जय कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे हरिनाम संकीर्तन के नहीं राधा नील माधव की जय राधा माधव की जय नरसिंह भगवान की जय पंच तत्व की जय षड गोस्वामी की जय गुरु परंपरा की जय श्री गुरु ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयं मुदीरयेत्. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. नष्टप्रायेष भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके bhaktir नैष्टिकी. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an inevitable fact. So, Hare Krishna, Prabhu's Mataji's, welcome all of you. Thank you for joining for this Bhagavatam session. So, today we'll be discussing from third canto, 31st chapter, verse number 1. So, let us first recite this verse. This is a chapter entitled Lord Kapila's Instructions on the Movements of the Living Entities. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Karmana Daiva Netrena Jantur Deho Papattaye Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumsoreta Kanashraya. Shri Bhagavan Vacha Karmana Daiva Netrena Janturdehopapattaye Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumsore Takkanashraya. Anybody would like to recite? Please.
May I, Prabhu? Hare Krishna.
Yes, ma'am. Please.
श्रीभगवानुवाच कर्मणा दैवनेत्रेण जन्तुर्हेपोपपत्तये स्त्रिया प्रविष्ट उदरं पुंसोरेतकणाश्रयः. Hare Krishna.
Go to word meaning. Shri Bhagavan Vacha, Supreme Personality of Godhead said, Karmana, by the result of work, Daiva Netrena, under the supervision of the Lord, Jantuhu, the living entity, Deha, a body, Upapattaye, for obtaining, Striyaha, of a woman, Pravishtaha, enters, Udaram, the womb, Pumsaha, of a man, Retaha, of semen, Kana, Kana, a particle, Ashrayaha, dwelling in. Translation and purport by Divine Sri Prabhupada Ki Jai. Please hear the translation and purport. The personality of Godhead said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of a male semen to assume a particular type of body. Purport. As stated in the last chapter, after suffering different kinds of hellish conditions, a man comes again to the human form of body. The same topic is continued in this chapter. In order to give a particular type of human form to a person who has already suffered hellish life, the soul is transferred to the semen of a man who is just suitable to become his father. During its sexual intercourse, the soul is transferred through the semen of the father into the mother's womb in order to produce a particular type of body. This process is applicable to all embodied living entities, but it is especially mentioned for the man who was transferred to the Andatamishra hell. After suffering there, when he who has had many types of hellish bodies, like those of dogs and hogs, is to come again into the human form, he is given the chance to take his birth in the same type of body from which he degraded himself to hell. Everything is done by the supervision of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Material nature supplies the body, but it does so under the direction of the Super Soul. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that a living entity is wandering in this material world on a chariot made by material nature. The Supreme Lord, as Super Soul, is always present with the individual soul. He directs material nature to supply a particular type of body to the individual soul according to the result of his work, and the material nature supplies it. Here, one word, Reta Kanashreya, is very significant because it indicates that it is not the semen of the man that creates life within the womb of a woman. Rather, the living entity, the soul, takes shelter in a particle of semen and is then pushed into the womb of a man, of a woman. Then the body develops. There is no possibility of creating a living entity without the presence of the soul simply by sexual intercourse. The materialistic theory that there is no soul and that a child is born simply by metal combination of the sperm and ovum is not very feasible. It is unacceptable. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. Om Gyantamara Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Supadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapatakalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagar Jatam Sahagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishaka Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhevanda Vaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Nanta Pravishamacham Suktam Sanjeevayate Krishna Sudamna Yam cha hasta charana shravanapagadi prananamo bhagavate purushayatvam mukam karoti vachana pangam So Hare Krishna Prabhupada is. Thank you very much. for joining and keeping the appointment with Krishna to hear Srimad Bhagavatam today. So the chapter is entitled Lord Kapila's instructions on the movements of the living entities. So the previous chapter, that is the third canto, 30th chapter, previous one, was entitled Develop Description by Lord Kapila of Adverse Fruitive Activities. Right? And so this chapter will be Lord Kapila's instructions on the movements of the living entities. See, the Supreme Lord, he has appointed Yamaraj to decide the proper punishment for those who perform sinful activities. So thus at the death, each living being is awarded a particular type of body in a particular place according to his work. So that's why we saw in the first, just now, the first verse says, Karmana Deva Netrena Jantur Deho Papataye Striya Pravishta Udaram Pumso Reta Kanashreha. That means he has changed his body. See, we are changing our bodies every day. Right? At every moment also. It is called growth. But actually it is a change of body. See, growing means leaving the old body and accepting a new body. See, after some years we can see that a child has grown to boyhood, then to youth. Correct? So that means he has changed his body, right? So similarly, when we find that the body is no longer inhabitable, not good to stay, we have to give it up and accept another body. Just as we have to give up our clothes when they become old or worn. So this change is executed under the supervision of higher authorities, Daiva Netrena. So according to one's religious and irreligious acts, one has to accept a particular type of body in a particular position and suffer. See, our sufferings are classified as Adi Bhautik, Adhyatmik, and Adi Devik. Adhyatmik miseries are those caused by our own bodies and minds. Adi Bhautik miseries are those inflicted by other living entities. And Adi Devik miseries are those which are inflicted by higher authorities, that is Devas, and which are completely beyond our control. Like earthquake, flood, famine. Okay. See, we cannot adjust these situations, right? No. So in the same way, after death, superior authorities will offer us a certain type of body. And we cannot say, oh no, sir, I do not want this body. We have to accept it. See, sometimes people argue that hell does not exist. And there is no track of whatever sins we are doing. But third canto, the previous 30th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam clearly explains the existence of hell and how far it is from the earth also. And how the living entity travels after he leaves his body. What are the various types of punishments he undergoes there? Everything is beautifully given in this previous chapter. In fact, verses 25 to 27 of the last chapter, third canto, 30th chapter, in particular, gives us a sample glimpse of the various kind of punishment the living entity has to undergo if he leads a sinful life. It says in the translation of these 330, 25 to 27, he is placed in the midst of burning pieces of wood, and his limbs are set on fire. In some cases, he is made to eat his own flesh or have it eaten by others. His entrails are pulled out by the hounds and vultures of hell. Even though he is still alive to see it, and he is subjected to torment by serpents, scorpions, gnats, and other creatures that bite him. Next, his limbs are lopped off and torn asunder by elephants. He is hurled down from hilltops, and he is also held captive either in water or in a cave. You just cannot hear this translation, right? So Bhagavatam also mentions how men and women whose lives were built upon indulgence in illicit sex are put into many kinds of miserable conditions in special hells known as Tamishra, Andha and Raurava. See, the purport of 3:30:31, Prabhupada mentions species lower than human beings are not responsible for their actions because they're made to act in a certain way. But in the developed life of human consciousness, if one is not responsible for his activities, then he's sure to get a hellish life. So it is important for us to understand our responsibilities and give up sinful activities so that we don't have to suffer in hell. See, there's a very nice instructive moral story told to us by His Divine Grace Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj, Prabhupada. That is Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master. Once there lived a drunkard in the village. Now, seeing his condition, a sadhu, he compassionately advised him, please give up drinking. If you drink, you will go to hell. The drunkard replied, but Suren Babu is also drinking. The sadhu said he will also go to hell. Then the drunkard started listing all his friends. What about Varun Babu, Arun Babu? Sadhu replied patiently, all of them will drink, who drink will go to hell. So pleased, he was very pleased to hear the reply. The drunkard he further inquired, okay, Sadhu ji, what are all the other sins for which one will be sent to hell? Sadhu said, people who say lies, people who cheat others, those who loot others, and all those who are engaged in illicit sex are all destined to hell. Then the drunkard asked, so what about the prostitute Padmini? The sadhu replied, she will surely be sent to hell. She and all prostitutes will be sentenced to hell. Hearing this, the drunkard became joyful. Oh, then that hell is really a joyful place to stay. Many of us have the same mindset as this drunkard. We think that if the majority of people are doing the same mistake, then there is no harm in us doing this mistake. But that is not the case. Intelligent people learn from others' mistakes. But foolish people think they are in safe position as long as majority people are doing the same mistake. Very foolish, right? Now, just because majority people are doing the mistake, Krishna is not going to change his laws, okay? Even if we are all going to be in hell with our friends and followers, each one of us will be fried in separate oil pans according to the level of mistake. As it is our past sinful acts, will take us to hell if we don't perform sincere devotional service in this life. So let us not be hell bent to go to hell. Let not be hell bent to go to hell. Instead of adding on to our sins, the list of sins, we should try to make the best use of this human birth. See, if one procures money by dishonest means, he has to reap the sinful reactions for the same. That is in the 30th verse 3:30:30, Prabhupada, the translation, after leaving this body, the man who maintained himself and his family members by sinful activities suffers a hellish life, and his relatives suffer also. See, once there was a robber named Ratnakar who was maintaining his family by engaging in robbery. So when Narada Muni met him, he told Ratnakar that for all the robbery and killing that he is doing now, he will have to face the sinful reactions. Now Ratnakar was surprised to hear this, right? And he said that since he has been doing this only for his family members, they would have to face the reactions for the same. Narada Muni told him to go and check with his family to find out whether his family is willing to take share of their sinful reactions. Now, to his surprise, Ratnakar found neither his parents nor his wife or children, none of them were ready to share the sinful actions. So he surrendered to Narada Muni and received his holy names from him. And after thousands of years of penance, he became the great sage Valmiki. So it is better to lead a simple life as guided by Guru, Sadhu, and Shastras than to maintain ourselves by dishonest means. See the story of Ratnakar, where his family members said they would not take share in his sinful actions, right? But Kapil Muni is making clear, very clear, that family members also have to have a share in the suffering. Whatever good or bad one does, the reactions for it passes on to the family members as well. If a person borrows a lot of money but dies prematurely before returning the money to the lender, his family becomes responsible to repay the debts. Similarly, the family members also partake the share in the sinful reactions of that person, whether they like it or not. So Srila Prabhupada very nicely says in the purport of 3:30:30, species lower than human beings are not responsible for their actions because they are made to act a certain way. But they develop life of human beings, human consciousness, if one is not responsible for his activities, then he is sure to get a hellish life. See, for example, people eating meat cannot simply claim that since they were not engaged personally in cutting the animal, they are free from sin. The person who kills the animal, the person who sells it, the person who buys it, the person who cooks it, and the person who eats it are all partakers of the sinful reaction of killing the animal. So one cannot absolve himself of the sins as he is not the deciding authority for the reactions of his good or bad habits. Right? So when Parikshit Maharaj put a dead snake around Shamika Rishi in the forest and was returning to his palace, he began to sincerely repent for his mistake. So in Srimad Bhagavatam 192, he says, Parikshit Maharaj is telling, due to my neglecting the injunctions of the Supreme Lord, I must certainly expect some difficulty to overcome me in the near future. And this statement by Parikshit Maharaj is very wonderful, which we should always, he said, I now desire without reservation that the calamity come now. For in this way, I may be freed of the sinful action and not commit such an offense again. So Srila Prabhupada, appreciating the responsible nature of Maharaj Parikshit, he says in the purport, he concluded that his insulting a powerful Brahmana was certainly to be punished by the laws of the Lord. And he was expecting something very difficult in the near future. He therefore desired the imminent calamity to fall on him and not on his family members. See, this is what he prayed, Parikshit Maharaj, because he knew they will also be affected. So he said that let it fall on me and not on my family. So man's personal misconduct affects all his family members. So therefore, Maharaj Parikshit desired the calamity to fall on him alone. So by suffering personally, he would be restrained from future sins. And at the same time, the sin which he had committed would be counteracted so that his descendants would not suffer. That is the way of a responsible devotee, how he thinks. See, the family members of a devotee also share the effects of a devotee's service unto the Lord. This is another point. One is a sin. So here, the family members of a devotee also share the effects of a devotee's service to the Lord. So Maharaj Prahlad Maharaj, he saved his demonic father by his personal devotional service. A devotee's son in the family, a devotee's son in the family is the greatest boon or blessing of the Lord. So even if we are not able to guide our family members to good destination, we should at least not be the cause for suffering, either in this life or the next. So we saw how Ratnakar asked his family members about sharing his sinful activities, right? His parents denied to accept it. Now Ratnakar asked his wife the same question. So once he entered the kitchen, his wife received him eagerly and was happy to see a package in his hands full of jewels. She was astonished and said, oh, all these jewels and dress are meant for men. But this Nagaratna is good and I will wear myself and use it. We will sell the other jewels and use the money. Now Ratnakar asked his wife, that's fine. See, my dear wife, every day I risk my life in hunting and robbery and work in rain and cold to get you food. I get a lot of bashing by robbing jewels also. All jewels you only use. So you will also take share in the sins I incur in my activities also, right? The wife replied, honey, in this lifetime I loved you and married you. From that time onwards, I have dedicated myself for your pleasure without personal consideration. I decorate myself with nice clothing and jewels only to please you and attract you. I really do not bother how you earn them, whether by legitimate means or robbery. Your duty is to earn for us. My duty is to cook food for all of us with the money you bring. And therefore, all sinful reactions belong to you only. And I will get the punya for cooking and feeding all of you. In this life, we are husband and wife. Next life, we don't know what will happen. This is the reply by the wife of Ratnakar. Now, Ratnakar was completely devastated. And just he went out of the house without eating anything. At that time, his son came and hugged him And to him, Ratnakar asked, "For you only I am hunting and robbing daily. Will you take a share of my sinful activities?" The son replied, "I agree, father. You are taking risk only for us. Now, if you are caught by soldiers or the police, will they imprison you or any of us?" The hunter replied, "They will arrest only me." Son said, "By extending this, it's the same logic, right? You only are accountable for all sinful actions, not me." Now, Ratnakar, he realized everyone wants to share the results of my earning and want to enjoy them, but no one wants to take share in my sinful reactions. So he was frustrated and he came to his senses. So in the 3:33 says, therefore, a person who is very eager to maintain his family and kinsmen simply by black methods certainly goes to the darkest region of hell, which is known as Andhatamishra. Prabhupada mentions there are three words that verse are very significant. He said, Kevalena means only by black methods, Adharmena means unrighteous or irreligious, and Bharana means family maintenance. So maintaining one's family is certainly the duty of a householder. But one should be eager to earn his livelihood by the prescribed method, as it is stated in the scriptures. Its purpose says one should work honestly according to his qualification. He should not earn his livelihood unfairly by means for which he is not qualified. So it is mentioned that he who earns his livelihood by unfair means, Kevalena, is sent to the darkest hellish region. Otherwise, if one maintains his family by prescribed methods and honest means, there is no objection to one's being a family man. My Guru Maharaj used to say, if you work honestly and earn money and be satisfied with that earning, that satisfaction will protect you throughout. Honest earning is never condemned in Vedic literature. So Ratnakar, he now decided to end his material life once and for all and seek out the higher purpose of life and then went back to Narada Muni. See, when we get married and stay in Grahastha life for a few years, the natural question that everyone asks us is, do you have any plans for family? Correct? No, family starts asking. So one of my godbrother, he just got married. It's a long got married and was back into family at home. So he was perplexed by this question. Every time people asked us the same question: do you have any plans for family? Who are we to plan the family? So in the olden days, it might have had a true meaning because husband and wife lived an austere life before begetting children. But these days, family planning is done more through birth control pills. Uh, Prabhupada even says, rascal doctors make us believe that we can get children whenever we want and promote all kinds of nonsense medicines. See, due to lack of self-control and self-discipline, people are becoming bad day after day. They completely lose faith in the Shastras. And the Lord, and they also lose faith in the Lord also, right? And believe that giving birth to a child is an out of like a mechanical process. But Kapila Muni very clearly says in his teachings to Mother Devuti, in the first verse today we recited 3:31:1. Karmana devanetrena jantu deha papattaye striya parvishta udaram humso reta kanashraya. The personality God had said, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord, and according to the result of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman through the particle of male semen to assume a particular type of body. So it is so clear from this verse, the verdict of Lord Kapila, that the soul gets a body only under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to his past karma. So neither of it is under our control. Then how can we plan? Family planning, so many things going on, right? So Prabhupada gives a very startling revelation in his purport 6:15:4 of Bhagavatam. He says, sometimes a child is born even to an impotent father and sterile mother. And sometimes a potent father and fertile mother are childless. See, sometimes a child born despite contraceptive methods, and therefore the parents kill the child in the womb. So in the present age, killing children in the womb has become a common practice. Why? When contraceptive methods are taken, why don't they act? Why is a child sometimes produced so that the father and mother have to kill it in the womb? We must conclude that our arrangement of so-called scientific knowledge cannot determine what will take place. What is enacted actually depends on the supreme will. It is by the supreme will that we are situated in certain conditions in terms of family, community, right? Or our personality. See, Prabhupada mentions in 1.5.24 what the exact way of family planning. He said the training was compulsory not only to create good citizens of the state, but also to prepare the boy's future life for spiritual realization. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of the followers of the Varnashrama system. See, the boy was even injected with spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. So both the father and mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from the material bondage. So that is the process of successful family planning. It is to beget children for complete perfection. See, all said and done, whether we have children or not, whether we have a spouse or not, it's all dependent on Krishna's supreme will. From our side, we can only do one thing: take the instructions of Srila Prabhupada and Guru to our hearts and have complete faith in the Shastras and spiritual masters, Krishna, and go on preaching and practicing devotional service. But to follow their instructions, see, to follow their instructions, we have to be self-controlled, disciplined, and fully obedient. So even to follow instruction, what we should have? We have to be self-controlled, we have to be disciplined, and fully obedient. So without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. Right? See, no situation of the world economy could have been more apt than the present to drive home the point on the futility of running behind material happiness. See, even in the present turmoil, no, people are planning and scheming to achieve permanent happiness. The futility of running behind anyone else other than the Supreme Lord is very, very clearly known in this Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. See, first point is, through the pages of Bhagavatam, we should understand the obnoxious situation of the unborn child in the womb of his mother and make a firm determination that never again we should go through this experience. Actually, these verses will come later on in this chapter. Secondly, it is already we are struggling in these middle modes of nature. And on top of that, we have created our own modes by desiring unwanted things. So this creates waves and whirlpools of material difficulties. So instead of furthering concocting our difficulties, we should only have unflinching faith in Krishna. See, by looking at and remembering the most beautiful transcendental form of Krishna, we should come to the realization that I do not know anyone else other than Krishna. So why are we running behind other things or people when we have such a wonderful Lord present before us in his transcendental form? See, this is a mockery of our mental existence, right? So this is the subject matter of Kapila's instructions through the prayers of the unborn child. Jantu's prayers, that's what we call this chapter. So the futility of running behind material happiness is very nicely brought out in Bhagavatam 1.5.18. Tasyeva heto prayate kovido nalabhyate yad brahmatam paryadah talabhyate dukavadanyata sukham kalena sarvatra gabhiraramhasa. Persons who are actually intelligent and philosophically inclined should endeavor only for that purposeful end, which is not obtainable even by wandering from the topmost planet Brahmaloka down to the lowest planet Vatala. As far as happiness derived from sense enjoyment is concerned, it can be obtained automatically in course of time. Just as in course of time, we obtain miseries even though we do not desire them. What a beautiful. See, an intelligent person, Kovidaha, should try to attain shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. Human life is actually meant for getting in touch with the lotus feet of Krishna. That should be our only business. So any intelligent person should learn from such Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, wonderful literatures, transcendental literatures, and the words of pure devotees, and honestly try to change the course of our life. We should be grateful to Krishna and more importantly to Prabhupada and Gurus. Now it is in our hands to utilize the life for the purpose for which it has been awarded to us. See how the process of self-realization has been so much simplified for this age. And why, in spite of that simplification, we have difficulties to take up the process. We have to develop detachment from material things. Since nothing belongs to us. See, whatever is not accompanying us, day and night we are very busy. We are busy in buying cars, houses, skyscrapers. See, once the breath goes away, the skyscraper remains here. Somebody else will come and sit in it. Maybe other people are waiting for your death to occupy the skyscraper. We wait for each other. One gets, the other sits. The other goes, the third sits. So they're thinking, he's already 70 years old, 80 years old. When is he going? So this is the main thing to be understood. This is the urgency. It's not that we while away our time and think afterwards. Maybe we think my head is black yet. It is very black still now. So I have 50 years to go. It is well and good if you survive and be with the scriptures and katha. We should be prepared for that last day. See, nobody can avoid the last appointment, and that procession has to go. See, for the whole of lifetime, we may be moving in a bicycle, and at the end, Rolls Royce is there, and that procession, ultimately, the procession has to go on. You can miss the appointments during the whole of lifetime, but that appointment you cannot miss. So, this is a real thing to be remembered. So, those who remember Krishna on one side and his death on the other side, then they will get attached to Krishna. Otherwise, it is impossible to get attached. They can't forget their life. They are entangled in the material existence. And material existence is very nicely described. Bhagavatam 11:249. Dehendriya prana, Dehendriya prana manodiyamyo, Janmapyayakshod bhayatarasya krichraihi, Samsara dharmair avimukhyamana, Smritya harer bhagavata pradhana. Another beautiful verse, 11:249. See, within the material world, one's material body is always subject to birth and decay. Similarly, the life air, prana, is harassed by hunger and thirst. The mind is always anxious. The intelligence hankers for that which cannot be obtained. And all of the senses are ultimately exhausted by constant struggle in the material nature. A person who is not bewildered by the inevitable miseries of material existence and who remains aloof from them simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered Bhagavat Pradhana, the foremost devotee of the Lord. Beautiful translation because you should go through again and again. Very nice verse. So, who is liked by Krishna? Who is liked by Krishna? Is very nicely described in this verse, right? So, we have this body, and this body has Janma and Apyaya. Janma means birth. This body has got to be born. So, nobody falls from the sky, right? As soon as the body is decided, then you have to squeeze yourself in the female species. If you're a bird, then you have to go into the female bird. If you're a beast, you have to go into the female beast. If you're a human being, then female human being. There is no way we can obtain this body without birth. Birth has got to be there. And the second thing is apyaya, decay. Birth and then decay. So the body decays. So since it is born, it is decaying. And finally it will decay to that extent that body will drop and the soul will migrate. So if your karmas are pious, in the sense that you are attracted to the complete, perfect, whole Krishna, then you stand a bit of chance to get a human body born in Suchinam Shrimatam Gehe. That is in a saintly or rich family. Or you get so much wealth that you're completely satisfied. Then you don't have to worry and toil and more to earn money. You can do devotional service nicely. See, your bread and butter are there. And fortunately, you come across Krishna somewhere again and then you catch him. If the sadhana is incomplete, for example, then the next birth you get a human birth in a rich family or saintly family. And if you don't utilize our human life in remembering the supreme absolute truth, Krishna, then how long does it take to withdraw everything from you? See, he has thousands of hands. He can withdraw within no time. So thinking of all these things, we should not increase our necessities. This increasing necessities is putting us in the vicious circle of birth, death, old age, and disease. If you decrease your necessities, then you win. That's why in 10th canto, 1st chapter, 4th verse, Maharaj Parikshit, he speaks a very beautiful verse, making us understand the importance of glorification of the Supreme Lord. निर्वृत् निवृत्ततर्षेत् उपगीयमानात् भवौषधाचोत्र मनोभिरामात् कावोत्तमश्लोक गुणानुवादात् पुमान् विरज्येत विना पशुघ्नात्. Glorification of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is performed in a parampara system. That is, it is conveyed from spiritual master to disciple. Such glorification is relished by those no longer interested in the false, temporary glorification of this cosmic manifestation. Descriptions of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Very nice. Once again, I will read. Description of the Lord are the right medicine for the conditioned soul undergoing repeated birth and death. Therefore, who will cease hearing such glorification of the Lord except a butcher or one who is killing his own self? So the necessity and importance of glorification of the Lord is very important. So the important duty in human existence is to know how to glorify Krishna. Important thing is the intense desire to glorify the Lord. Intense desire can only manifest if we really understand our precarious position in the material life. Otherwise, there is no intense desire. See, always we feel very confident, very satisfied in the species which we are already in. And that is not the case. In any species of life, we have to face all the miseries. Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi is everywhere. Not only that, apart from the four difficulties, Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi, we are facing three miseries again. Three tapa, Adhyatmik, Adi Bhautik, and Adi Devi. Adhyatmik means miseries arising out of our own body and mind. So we cannot stop these miseries. Adi Bhautik are the miseries inflicted by other living entities, and we cannot stop them. That is bound to come. And Adi Devik, we're completely helpless. So if there is excessive rain or no rain or excessive heat, excessive cold, earthquake, bomb blast, these are just according to the will of Krishna and it goes on. So these three miseries and four problems we have to face in any species of life. Unless we come to the reality, we will not understand these things. Unless we understand these things, there won't be any intense desire to glorify the Lord. And then we will glorify the material things because we're already nourished, surrounded by them 24 hours a day. And spiritual values, they do not give us the material return. So for lives together, we are engaged in fruitive activities. When we were cat, we were looking for the food. And if we can get the food, we will be satisfied. That is the return of the activity. The cat will go out and find out something. The dog will go out and find out something. Bird will go out and find out something. It's all fruitive activities. So we do the karma and expect something in return. And that is our nature since last so many births. So many birth cycles we have had. And all the cycles, without fail, we have performed the fruitive duties. And that is why in human species also, it becomes a main important thing that we expect the return. As soon as we do something, we expect the return. And scriptures tell you not to repeat these things. Now, because you are entangled into the fruitive activities, you are creating the web around you. And because of that web, you are forced to accept bodies and there is no chance. Krishna will not ask whether you agree to have the cat's body. No. It is decided according to karma and the will of the Lord. So there is no way you can escape, right? And we are helpless regarding this. But there is one door that Krishna has kept open. That is to improve our activities. See, we are very much attached to the return of the work. So as soon as you perform some duty without fail, you expect the return. So since so many births, any species of life we have worked, we have got the results and the results we claim that they are ours. Now, in this species of life as human being, this tendency has got to be changed. Every time we should not expect the results of the work. And that can only be done if your work is performed for Krishna. That can only satisfy you that you have done the job and you do not want anything in return. Otherwise, if you perform any material activity, and the return will catch you. Whether you want or not, the return will definitely be there. But you perform the activities for the Supreme Krishna, then he can free you from the karma bandhana. So this is the bandhan. And unless you free yourself from this bandhan, you'll be forced to accept the body. And that is why our aim should be to free ourselves. That can never be possible unless you glorify the Lord through your heart. So this is the main thing to understand. And that is why we recite so many shlokas. We daily sing the verses. We daily try to understand Bhagavad Gita. We daily try to understand Srimad Bhagavatam. We try to understand Chaitanya Charitamrita. all of this can come together to glorify the Lord. In the end, all the paraphernalia is meant for His glorification, and we should come to that conclusion. Otherwise, we are thinking that this house is for my comfort. In the beginning, that was our return for the fruitive activity, right? You build the house and the house is for me. That is what our idea was. Now, that idea has changed when you become a devotee. And we know that the house does not belong to us, it belongs to the Lord. So we have to go leaving the house here. It is better that it is returned to the right owner. We are not the owners. If this knowledge is there, then we establish the Lord in our house, in our heart also. We know that we cannot survive without Krishna's mercy. So it is better that we voluntarily accept. Otherwise, we have so many examples that if we do not voluntarily accept Krishna's authority, he will force us to accept the authority in the form of serious diseases, accidental death, cruel death. These things are going on. Very, very powerful, right? See, Bhagavad Gita 4.10 says, Vidaragavaya krodha manmayamam upashitaha bahavo jnana tapasa utamad bhavamagataha. Being freed from attachment, fear, and anger, being fully absorbed in me, and taking refuge in me. Many, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me, and thus they all attained transcendental love for me. So we have to get rid of the attachment to the knowledge that our material existence is temporary. Life or death is not in our hands, and it's under the control and supervision of Krishna. So realizing the temporary nature, whatever time we are here, we should behave very sanely, not insane, mad, sane, and keep good relations with all the living entities. And in situations that upset us, we should try to keep quiet and take shelter of Harinam. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So do not get attached too much. See, however much you try to amass wealth, however you try to amass any material things, they are not going to come with you. That is a fact. So, so far as so many living entities have gone, right, they haven't taken with them anything, including their body. And we are also not going to take. So we must have our own requirements. See, we are grahasthas. We must meet our daily needs. We may make provision for future also, but we should not be that much attached. These things go on, and the only fact we have to remember is that because all the situations are very temporary and very flickering, however hard we try, we will not be able to do anything. That's why in this third canto, Kapil Deva advises his mother. Mother is asking, Maharaj, Kapil is her son. You are talking all these things, but how am I to know that it is a difficult thing? And he's describing the process of birth very nicely. So karmana. So in the first verse we say, just today verse, karmana devani. Karmana means by your own activities. So whatever activities we perform has a reaction. And because it has a reaction, we are ordering another material body by our own activity. That is why our endeavor should be that our action should not produce any reactions. And that is why we come to seva or devotional service. The seva of the Lord does not produce any reaction. Any other activity or fruitive activity, they produce reaction. And that is very nicely described in Bhagavatam 5.5.5. Yavat kriyas tavad idam manovai karmanatmakam yena sharira bandha. It says, be it sinful or pious, karma has its resultant actions. If a person is engaged in any kind of karma, his mind is called karmatmaka, colored with fruitive activity. So as long as the mind is impure, consciousness is unclear, and as long as one is absorbed in fruitive activity, he has to accept a material body. He has to accept. So we are entangled into these bodies. We are engaged into these bodies because of kriyaha, the fruitive activities. And many times, unknowingly, we do so many sinful activities and we are entangled into the bodies. Priti na yavan mai vasudeve, 556. So until and unless you develop attraction to the Lord through merciful personality like Prabhupada, na muchyate deha yogena tavat. Till that time, you are not liberated in getting out of the vicious circle of birth, death, old age, and disease. So every time you accept the material body, you have to take birth. You have to die. You have to become old. You have to become diseased. There is no way out of it. At the same time, the whole creation, all units are complete. So we are also creating units because, and because this body is a unit, when we are sick, there is no need of running to the doctor. You have to wait. Try to tolerate, and within a few days, the sickness will go away. We say, sometimes the fever comes, immediately we go. Actually, it will be there for about 2, 3 days, and go away. So we go to the doctor, you mess the whole thing. And because of that, you try to stop unnaturally. And when you try to stop the process of Krishna, the body gets upset and we have more trouble. So instead of taking refuge of drugs and other obnoxious medicines, you must keep quiet for some time at least. But if it persists, then it is altogether a different thing. Then we may take advice from somebody. And as far as possible, Ayurvedic or homeopathic is better. Otherwise, we should avoid going to the doctor and unnecessarily consuming artificial medicines. See, in the future verses, we will see how the living entity within the womb of the mother, how it's developing, how much suffering. By the force of air, we are born. As soon as we are born, again we lose all the consciousness and you go back to the material rut. See, when the child is born, there is a moment he loses his consciousness. He moves and tries to cry. He can't cry even because there is nothing left here. And after some moments, by Krishna's mercy, he comes back and then he starts crying or happy, whatever. So this is the condition. So the living entity who knows these things from the pages of Bhagavatam will never in his or her dream will ever try to come back again in this situation. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. I stop here. Thank you. So very powerful lessons we could learn from this chapter. So this will make us take to devotional service very quickly, immediately, so that there won't be any reactions. We will not have the fruitive mentality. So let's take a vow, right? Hare Krishna. Grantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Vancha kalpatarubish kripa sandubhaya vacha patitanam pavani vishnu. If you have any questions or any points you felt very useful to share, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Guruji. Hare Krishna Guruji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
After hearing about hell, we will think that we should not come back to take human life. So it was very good
Yes,
speech
Prabhu.
about hell.
True,
Thank
true.
you, Guru.
Yes, you can. Yeah, sometimes giving a fear will make us do better service, right? Devotional service.
You
Thank
won't
you.
do any sinful activities after hearing about hell.
Yes, Prabhu. Very nice, Prabhu. Thank you for sharing that, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu Tanda Pranam.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Pranams.
Prabhuji, as we were saying in the class, it was a wonderful class, first of all, Prabhu. And as we were saying in the class, when you go to hell, when one is put in the oil and other things and other punishments, so how to understand this? When the body is left, our body is only the soul goes there, and soul doesn't have soul is not it doesn't matter for the soul for with the fire or oil or whatever it is. So how do you understand the punishment there when it goes there?
No, see, gross body is not there. The subtle body still goes with you. Subtle means the mind, intelligence, the ego. That means you still remember those things. So that is a subtle body. So the subtle body, that means you will be made to realize whatever you have done. So accordingly, when the punishment is given, you will feel the pain. Same thing, just like in the gross body, what you will affect. Same will in the subtle body also, you will be having those effects to understand. It will be there. It's not that you will forget. Then if that is so, if you don't remember whatever punishment, then there is no point in that, right? Then you will feel, oh, mujhe kya karna hai? That is something that you will feel that is a different body. That is in fact your own subtle body. It is going every back to back. So by making us understand by this, then we will become more sane in this current life, in the human form actually. because this is the calm when we know what is right and wrong. And accordingly we can, because we are put in so many. If you go through the chapter, you feel so uh, difficult to digest. It is so much. So the best way is to understand. So that it is not that it is a fact. It is true. You should know whatever Krishna says is correct. So these things are there. It is not that. That's why some people atheists know there is nothing like hell and all. They're hell bound to go to the hell anyway. Right. That's what he said. So we have to be very, very sane. And it is there because of the subtle body. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. And one more thing,
Thank you.
Prabhuji, like Prabhu, in every step, like we commit a lot of sins and lies and other things are there in our continued daily life. Knowingly, unknowingly, things happens. So,
Yes.
what is the way to get out of it? Like things will happen like this. As you said that the Adhyatmik, Adi, Bautik, Adi, Devik, this will be there, and the four things: birth, death, old age, disease, and this will be there. But thing is, how do we come out of it? Because we will willingly or unwillingly we commit mistakes, we commit sins, we tell lies, we do all sort of things. So how do we come out of it, Prabhuji?
Correct. See, you have a good question, Prabhu. That's nice. See, when we are born, we didn't have any other means. Slowly, by association, we try to learn so many things. Correct. When we are born, is go to school. So slowly, for initially within the parents how they behave. If they are devotional and all, automatically by looking at them, you become that. If they are fighting and all, you also learn that. So by association, all these things are coming like telling lies, cheating, anger, all these things are coming slowly and slowly. You start learning. So the same question which you asked now, Arjuna also asked in Bhagavad Gita to Krishna. Actually, I don't want to do any sinful act. But sometimes it just happens. Why? Without my knowing it is happening. So what is the reason? So Krishna says it is only lust. It's only because of lust it happens, but it can be controlled. So that the control can be done. And that is what Krishna is telling in Bhagavad Gita right from the beginning, right? And plus the last, he says, just we do so many simple activities knowingly, unknowingly, and how many janmas we have done, so many we don't know. So that's why just surrender to Sarva Dharman Parityaja Mam Ekam Sharanam Vraja Ham Tam Sarva Papabhyo Moksha Shucha. Whatever simple activities, anything you have done, just surrender to me. I will take care. Ma Shucha, do not worry. So we have to just surrender to Krishna. Surrender means follow all the instructions what he has given. Chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. And in fact, Prabhupada has made it all the more simple. Very simple package he has given. Right from morning till you get up to go to sleep. Even during sleep also, chant and sleep. That also, the whole sleep also, this chanting is counted. Counted means doesn't mean that you chant one round and sleep. Morning you say, and the sleep I have chanted 16 or 64 rounds. That is. So see, chanting. So these things, Prabhupada is so beautifully given. So we are completely absorbed in Krishna consciousness. So that means you are surrendered. So Krishna will take care. This whatever is in destiny, in whatever is in our as per karma, we have to go through. But he will give it in small doses, which we can tolerate. He might have done so many things we don't know. That is another good thing. Krishna has given 15 from 15 Bhagavad Gita. He says, I will give you the remembrance and forgetfulness. So it's good that he gave the forgetfulness of our previous janmas. Otherwise, we can't live in this current life also. So that he has already given. So Krishna will take care. And he will, of course, whatever, see, any bad, something you do at your house, if a child does something, you give him some punishment, right? So that he will not do it again. So the punishment, karma, what you have done, the punishment has to be gone through. But Krishna has the facility to reduce or give it in small doses, which you can. So see, during our current life, it is not that today, means today we are coming and sitting in front in the Bhagavatam, hearing Bhagavatam. That means it doesn't mean that we did not have any problems in this life. It's also we have come through so many problems and we have overcome those things. Now, if you look back, we feel, oh, that's correct. I had so many difficulties, but now I am able to chant and still sitting and hearing Bhagavatam. Otherwise, we would have been so many devastated. But we are here. That is Krishna, although he has given those small doses of difficulties in our life, he has given the level of tolerance and strength to withstand those things also. So he knows. He knows this person can withstand only this much. By giving a little bit more, he will die. So all this, Krishna is, is as a Paramatma, he knows. So if you have that intense desire, that just Prabhu asked, so how can I remove all this lies and all these things? How can I do that? So now you have that, this thought has come to your mind, right? After hearing this, the hell and so many other. So Krishna will, oh, this devotee, this Shukmar Prabhu has asked me. So I will give him the facility. So he will slowly, he'll come. So you go on chanting, go on reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, reciting the shlokas, associated with devotees. The more and more, automatically, the anarthas, kama, krodha, moha, all these things will go away. It will get cleansed. Every day we have to clean. Only one day we will not clean our house and put the kachra outside, and after 1 month again we do. Every day we do, right? Why? We want to have the house clean. So our house, in the inner house, that heart has to be completely cleansed. So daily we have to chant, daily we have to associate. I presume, Prabhu, with what my capacity I will do.
Yeah, thank you, Prabhuji. Very nice, Prabhuji. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Seshadripuram. Jai.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. Anything else, Prabhu's Patajis? I will stop
Krishna
here.
Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji.
In the hell, the Sukshma Sharira undergoes punishments, right? So
Yes,
at
Mataji.
that time, does it realize the mistakes it has done and reform later?
Yeah. I mean, no, you mean to say they are getting punishment in the hell, right?
Correct. And they get the realization of the mistakes they have done? Do they get the
definitely.
realization? Acha.
The punishment, definitely. That's why then after that cleansing process is done, then the next body is finalized. Right, again the karma. So it has to be, that growth is, cycle of birth and death will be going on and on.
Okay. But normally we say it is a good soul and it does good deeds and all that. So it is not for the soul, is it? I was thinking the soul will do all these.
No, it is. It is actually the living. It is soul only, Mataji. Subtle body, that is part of the soul only. The soul, that is only gas, gross body, then subtle body that it takes in. The subtle body has this mind, intelligence, ego, all along with it. It goes along with it. And the super soul also goes along with it. So the super soul knows what all the activities are done by this soul. Okay, that is Janma after Janma.
Okay.
So accordingly, the gross body is delivered.
Okay, now we are being guided, right? Sometimes you get the intuition and we do good deeds, or sometimes it says not to do like that. So that is the soul which is guiding us, or
super soul. That is the super soul is actually guiding us.
Okay.
See, whenever we do anything, we want to do something, and feel no, this is not right, but still we go and do it. After we feel guilty, but your mind tells, no, listen. Then you get somewhere deviated, and then you do a wrong thing, and you feel guilty. I should not have done that. So the super soul, the Paramatma, is always guiding you in the right path. Just like a father and mother, they give the children good advice to do, not to do this, not to do that. But still the child goes and associates with some bad things and gets smoking, drinking, and everything else. So it has to be punished, right? So same way.
Okay.
Thank you, Mataji.
So we have been guided by the super soul, and it is for us to decide whether to do wrong deed or good deed. Is it correct?
Yes, because as a human form, we have been given the prerogative to know what is right and what is wrong. We can know. A cow, dog, and all, elephant, they don't know. Only we have been given that intelligence.
Okay. So that motivation.
So we have to use that.
Okay, that motivation is done by the soul.
No, basically our intelligence. This soul, see, everything is by our, first is the mind is the main cause for everything. So you have to control the mind by intelligence. So intelligence is given to the, so above that intelligence, the soul, through the soul, everything will come because of the past karmas. Guna karma.
So indirectly, soul is also connected in this.
Yes, absolutely. Without the soul, there is no, that is the pain in life. Body is just a chemical.
Ah,
Panchbhutas is come and
I
go.
know.
Otherwise, there is nothing with the body. And we are giving everything to the body interest. Oh, everything we love the body, we give everything for the body. Ultimately, it has to go. Whereas you have to go everything to the soul. Food for the soul, not for the body.
No, no, my doubt is, Prabhuji, the good deeds or whatever deeds we do, it is guided by the soul, according to
Supposed to
our
be. See,
karma.
yeah.
I see. Okay. And our mind and intellect should decide which path to take.
Yes. The mind
Oh.
always takes you. Yeah, it's basically the mind. But you have to, with the intelligence, you have to control the mind and take the good decisions.
Okay. Thank you, Prabhuji. So there is soul
Thank you,
behind it for all this. Yeah, that is the
Yes.
doubt I had.
Yeah, super soul
Thank
is
you,
there.
Prabhuji.
Yeah.
Very
Thank you,
nice.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Very nice. And if we have the recording, we would like to listen once again, Prabhuji.
I think it will be there. I will share the link. Okay, Hare Krishna.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. So we'll stop here. Thank you, Nirmala Mataji, Archana Mataji, Shanta Govinda Prabhu,
Thank you, Prabhu.
Shivkumar
Hare
Prabhu.
Krishna. Dandavat
Hare
pranam.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna.